After going to Geek Kon for almost 6 years now, I can say it has changed quite a bit, but has it been for the best? Welcome to the review of Geek Kon 2015. Geek Kon is a small-sized convention that is housed in the Madison Marriott West Hotel in Middleton, Wisconsin. The hotel is absolutely stunning, and the hotel staff there are more than welcoming to all the con-goers. The hotel is attached to the convention center, which makes traveling to your room very easy and convenient, even at the latest hours of the night. The hotel provides a concession stand with some hot dogs and beverages, as well as a small travel center with magazines, medicine, and ice cream. They do not have any sort of food court in the convention center, but it is right across the street from a Sprecher restaurant and a 5-minute walk from a McDonald's, Five Guys, and a Starbucks. If those are not your thing, a Pizza Hut and a Toppers also deliver to the area as well. There were some problems with communication with the convention staff. I had staff members tell me 2 different answers to the same question, and I had some security tell me things were okay while others said they were not. My sister cosplayed Louise from Bob's Burgers, and in the show, Louise always changed the Burger of the Day sign. In the first episode, she changed it to, "The child molester comes with candy." She was not bugged whatsoever the entire day until much later, one security guard said it was not okay. She wrote it on again after the security guard left and then was not yelled at by any other security staff the entire convention. Also, other staff and security guards thought her sign was humorous. Then other things that would not be appropriate, such as yaoi paddles, were allowed in the convention and nobody was bugged about them. I think a more strict and clear set of guidelines need to be presented to the staff and security so this type of miscommunication does not happen in future years. The convention itself was a pretty large letdown compared to previous years. The guests were very diverse, but I've only heard of 2 of them. I feel like they can do better at this, especially since a similar sized convention can get people like Chie from Persona 4, or someone who directs at Funimation. I believe it is a good idea to not just have voice actors, but I think that the majority of the people that go to these conventions are going to recognize the voice actors rather than the person who first sold their game when they were a teenager. I think with its growing size each year, they should try and take more risks in getting some more big names in the industries that they choose to cater to. I would honestly like to see less guests that I do know than a lot of guests I don't care about. Last year, Geek Kon got Little Karibo, who created the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series, the Naruto spoof show, and also worked with Team 4-Star. This is an example of a good choice of a guest, as it is a well-known name to the hardcore anime fan. The panels this year were pretty lackluster as well. I feel like a lot of the panels were diverse, but they have all been panels that I have seen before. I noticed throughout the years that they have been hosting less and less 18+ panels. I understand Geek Kon is trying to go for a more family-friendly convention, but I feel like taking away most of the 18+ panels is not a good move. Replacing these 18+ panels with more panels that we have seen before does not make it feel like a more family-friendly convention. It actually hurts the convention by showing its lack of panel diversity, and it shows that Geek Kon does not show diversity and creativity in the panels that they accept. This is of course not Geek Kon's intention, but this is how I feel when I see the lack of diversity in terms of panels. The game room is the biggest room of the convention. Unlike last year, they have the LAN room in the same room. I think this is a good idea and opens up another panel room for people to use. However, there is no space for people to put their own computers and laptops to hook up and play online. I know quite a few people bring their own rigs and they want to enjoy the LAN room feel while still using their own setup. In terms of the rest of the game room, they have always been up to date on the newest consoles and game releases, as well as having some of the oldest consoles to date. This means you should not have a problem finding your favorite system to play on. In addition, they have a full stage for Rock Band, complete with a large projector screen and some loudspeakers so it feels like you're performing to the entire game room. This is really cool and it feels like you are a complete rock star while playing. The arcade section of the game room has been the same for a very long time. Anime Milwaukee really stepped up its game this previous year and brought a ton of new rhythm games and cabinets, which really set it above Geek Kon in terms of diversity. The arcade games Geek Kon did have this year have been almost the same for over 3 years, and some of them were even out of order the entire weekend. I feel like this is the place that they need to improve the most. They advertise that they have the biggest game room in the area, but they don't use the space to the fullest potential. Even though Anime Milwaukee has a larger attendance, I feel like that they really stepped up their game by bringing it to a room that is larger, using better space, and having more consoles and arcade games that are a lot of fun. I would also like to mention that I heard Geek Kon lost an entire crate of games and accessories. While I do not know the entire story, I think this type of issue can be avoided and should never happen again. I do believe that this crate was found Saturday, but it should not be lost whatsoever. The vendor room seemed to have all the same vendors, but it also didn't seem to be good as previous years. There were diverse vendors, but the vendors with similar merchandise all felt the same. Most other cons I go to, I don't end up buying much because I would buy everything that I see. This year, I was forced to buy something so that I could remember the convention. The Artist Alley was really good with a lot of talented artists. I was really impressed with all the great art people had. Some returning artists also made an appearance, which I feel is really cool since they were well received last year. The rave was a lot of fun. There was not one DJ that played that I didn't really enjoy. One of my favorites, DJ Carroll, was there, but unfortunately he played last at around 3 a.m., which is a little late for me. I know most raves go until 4 a.m., but I feel like the attendance really does drop between 12 and 1 a.m. Maybe starting the rave an hour earlier would prevent this issue from happening and have people stay the entire length. Some of the pros of this convention are: 1. The rave. I think the rave was done very well this year and ran without any hiccups. Good DJs were selected and I was never at a point where I was bored. 2. Panel timing. I thought the panel timing was very well done. For example, my panel, How to Run a Student Organization, was right before Intro to Cosplay. I think that they had these panels timed in a way that people would stay in the same room or roughly in the same area for panels that they would want to see. I think this is very important because having those panels in the same area right after one another makes it so people don't have to rush to go to the next panel that they want to see. 3. The Artist Alley. The artists that were selected this year were very talented and I feel like that they all deserve to be there. I also like the idea that I saw some familiar faces from last year's Geek Kon in the Artist Alley that were well received. Some of the cons of the convention. 1. Panel diversity. Most of the panels were very similar to other years, and with a lack of 18+ panels that get replaced by the same panels that every other con does not make it a better, family-friendly environment. 2. The game room. I think if you get a couple more arcade games, that should really fill up the rest of that empty space very well. And I think some precautions need to be taken next year so certain arcade games do not become out of order so early within the weekend. 3. The communication. The communication between the staff members and security needs work as well. I know it can be hard to relay information to that large amount of people, but making it clear what your rules and guidelines are of the convention would be beneficial to everybody. Overall, as someone who has gone to 6 Geek Cons in a row, I can safely say that this one has been the most disappointing to me. However, I do not think that that makes Geek Kon 2015 a bad convention. I just think that these issues need to be resolved so that the people that went to Geek Kon this year don't see that the problems are happening next year as well. I still think Geek Kon 2015 was the perfect convention for people that were younger or first-time con goers to go to. I did hear a lot of people saying how much fun that they had for their first convention, but I did also hear a lot of people saying that previous Geek Cons were a lot better than this one. In terms of a score, I would give Geek Kon 2015 a 6 out of 10. I feel like this con was still quite a bit fun to go to, but I feel like there are parts of the convention that made me really bored and that those need to be improved on. Thank you so much for watching a review of Geek Kon 2015. If you really enjoyed the video, please let us know, and we will make more of these videos in the future.